Hello, everyone. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are going to have the lore hour here because we have a whole bunch of lore to read through that we had pile up here. So we're just gonna kind of hang out and talk and go through these pages and see what happens. All right. So first we've got report on camp morale. It has come to my attention that camp morale remains low, despite increased joy rations. Apparently, some men still nurse feuds dating back to crossed out POW days. Youthful times. It is imperative that we, crossed out, cast aside childish things, function as one unit. Unfortunately, our amateur dramatic society has not improved morale. Perhaps the choice of Richard III was to blame. Could we not instead mount a comedy? I myself love Much Ado About Nothing. I am also distressed by reports of pranksters attempting to scare Lance Corporal Starveling when he is on night guard duty at the monument. Fear of ghosts is indeed unmanly, but it is not the place of fellow soldiers to take it upon themselves. Left unfinished. Alright, so that must have been from the veterans camp. They're having some prank problems and morale's down and just trying to figure that out. Okay, it seems I lied. Ollie says he didn't know the tanks were fake, but how could he not? Who else knew? Aside from those ridiculous home army lads in their antique battle dress. We could have fought the germs if the tanks were fake. Alright, it would have been pointless and stupid and they'd have shot us all dead, but it would have felt so much better than doing nothing. Well, I did do something, didn't I? I remembered the truth while I was talking to Ollie. I wasn't too old to get on the train. I lied to the Germans that I was too old, and I convinced them. How do you lie to yourself about your own birthday? Because that way it wasn't your fault. Did that constable really believe my little invention about my birth certificate, or did he decide it wasn't his duty to smoke out one lying kid? Why didn't I just go? I'm going to drive myself mad. Now I'm just going to find Percy and make things right. That part is true. Absolutely true. Ollie says I can bluff my way past the Bobbies at the bridge to Maidenhome. All I need is his crazy device. That sounds quite a bit cleverer than trying to sneak past large trained men with truncheons, or fighting them, and from there on to Appleholm and the Britannia Bridge. Dear Vicar, I am writing to you because I was disturbed by the joke you made about a downer in yesterday's sermon. I know everyone thought it was a very funny joke. I love a laugh as much as anyone, and I thought it was funny at the time. But then it began to bother me. Not in the sense of feeling bad or sad, of course, but philosophically. Who are we to mock downers in Christ's church? Did Christ mock the poor and downtrodden, or did he mock the Pharisees and the hypocrites? Do we really want to start by drowning 100 drowners? Where would we end? I know I am going on entirely too long about one joke, but it is important to keep up standards, don't you think? And as a vicar, we look to you to set the standard, don't you? It's perfectly fine when Uncle Jack makes jokes about downers. No one takes him too seriously. Not when he has his jolly hat on, and I have laughed at many a downer joke. It seems we tell new ones every day. At any rate, they seem new. But in a sermon, shouldn't we have more sympathy? Instead of mocking, shouldn't we be praying for downers to come to their senses and take their joy again? Yours most devotedly, Sylvia Hockney. Dear Jack, forgive a total stranger writing you, but I feel after all these years as if I know you better than I know many of the people in my family. To me, you're no longer Uncle Jack, you're Jack. I can see that you're a good and kind man, full of love and laughter. But Jack, I can tell that you are not fulfilled. Lately, there has been an edge in your voice, as if you know something is missing. Jack, I can tell that you are alone in this world. It's not fair that you, who have done so much to make us all feel less lonely, should have no girl who loves you best of all. Jack, I know this is terribly forward, but want to be that girl. I know I could make you personally happy. Please write back and let me know if you could let me prove it to you. You deserve all the good things. I love you, Fiona Slaymaker. Dear Father McCartney, it was so lovely to bump into you by the fountain the other day. I hope I didn't seem too distracted. I might have had a bit too much joy that morning. You know how it is these days. Has it really been so long since I was an altar boy in your choir? It feels like yesterday. I have a favor to ask you. It's been some years now, if I remember right, which who knows anymore, that I felt out of step with the rest of the congregation at St. Michael's. More and more they argue about what Christ's forgiveness means if nobody can remember what they're asking forgiveness for. To tell the truth, I long for the old certainties I had as a boy. I miss absolution. I miss the body and blood. I miss going forth to sin no more. I won't return to the church. But I doubt Jillian would take kindly to my returning to the fold. Her knitting club is all St. Michael's. Her flower arranging friends are St. Michael's. Our neighbours are all St. Michael's. Is it wrong to want to convert in secret, and to take Mass in secret? I suppose we did in the earliest days of the church, didn't we? I cannot remember the things I have done, but confession and Mass wash all sins clean. Do they not? Would you have me back? Yours most devotedly, Robin Willoughby. Jack, I know what you did. When I feel like it, I will tell them. Your nemesis, OS. Dear Mrs. Brown, we of the Ladies' Village Improvement Society would like to thank you for the many years you have done as a superb job contributing to the loveliness of our dear village of Hamlin. Though you live on your own, so many of us do these days, the figures you have painted in your windows have given us so many of us a feeling of neighborly comfort. It is good to feel watched over, even if the watchers are not necessarily three-dimensional. However, in the past little while, we regret to say we have noticed that your windows are beginning to deteriorate a bit. No doubt you have been terribly busy. We all have so many things to do, but it rather spoils the effect when the paint begins to flake. No longer trumps the loyal, if you will. In particular, the adorable grandmother in the second-story window to the right has lost parts of her jaw and looks a bit monstrous. I am sure this is not intentional. Indeed, who looks at their own house? And on joy one tends not to notice uncomfortable little details. But some of us have begun to notice it and to question why you have not seen to it. Surely you are not a secret downer, they say. Of course you are not a downer. We are positive you'll show them they're wrong by fixing up your house once again in your own inimitable style. All the best, Helen Burtonshaw, Ladies' Village Improvement Society. Lost letter page. And as you tighten the lid on, it squeaks ever so slightly as the glass rubs along the rubber, and as the rubber gloves rub along the lid. That done, you slowly strip off your rubber gloves one by one, taking care not to get any of the water on your arms. The rubber gloves, half inside out, quiver slightly on the kitchen counter, as if they were shivering in delight. What do you want to do now, you ask? Eleanor's party is tomorrow. We promised to bring the balloons. You found balloons? Yes, I say, keeping my voice as steady as I can. 10 latex rubber balloons. The long kind you can twist into shapes. My mind, I can already hear them squeal as I twist them, the thin rubber rubbing on itself. Oh my. Monday. Made it this far. The hardest part was continuing to go to work without joy, seeing how daft they all are. But pretending to be like them while I made my plans. Oh, yes, I'm a great pretender. She is always so sure there was a resistance plotting away. Why can't I find them? Celebrated Mr. K says there isn't any such thing. But she was so sure. Is he lying? Doesn't he trust me? I suppose there's no reason for him to do. Will he help? Tuesday. Does she miss me? She's always stiff upper lip. But every now and then one detects a twinge of feeling behind the mask. She'd say, "Would you like some tea, love?" And I could swear she meant more. That's what I meant when I said it to her. She never called anyone else love. And sometimes her hand would linger for just a moment when I handed her the cup. I miss her. I don't miss the rest of the lot. Certainly not that awful Arthur, always making googly eyes at me. Wednesday. Mr. Kite says to lay low a bit longer. If I turn off the pump, the water will build up. Then, if there's an intruder, I can just turn the power on. Thursday. Oh God, I dreamed V and I were swimming. We swam and swam until we turned around and couldn't see Wellington Wells anymore. Then we dove for 1,000,000 fathoms, but then I lost her in the darkness. Friday. Nervous wreck. Two bobbies chased me coming back from the phone booth. Thank God I rigged the electricity. They made the most awful sound. Wonder if they had sweethearts. Are some girls missing them right now the way... Or is someone just popping an extra joy and trying to forget why? Saturday. More dreams of V. Even after I woke, I stayed in bed with my eyes closed so I wouldn't lose the feeling she was with me. I could still go to the mood booth and pretend nothing happened. But I won't. I won't do it. Not even if she meant the way she looked at me. She'd never stray from her appointed path, no matter how much she loved anyone. Suppose she mustn't. She's not really English, is she? I wonder if she's really the daughter of a Maharaja? She mustn't let anyone remember her skin is dark and her hair is dark and her eyes... Mustn't think about that. But she stands there like a statue sometimes. She seems like someone out of Bhagavad Gita. If you take away the yodpurs and the riding suit and put her in robes of silk. Mustn't think about that. Now's the time to dare and endure, says the old man. Sunday, nauseated. Cooked Bobby was bad enough, but now it's rotting Bobby. Need a new shelter pronto. Must find out if Kay thinks it's safe to move. Time to leave another message. um, they're eating Bobbies. Okay, that's a thing. Casing the joint. Monday. When does this pigeon leave his house? He never even bloody puts on pants. Been pretending to point these bricks for days. I hope no one noticed I haven't moved from this spot. Tuesday. He sleeps like the dead, though. Snores, too. Thank you for leaving that third floor window open, mate. Every time someone puts in a Turing system, God opens a window. Finally up. It's 2 o'clock, you lazy bugger. Some of us have been working since dawn. Blimey, that's not his hair. It's a wig. Wish I had a camera to show the lads. If I were rich, I could dance around the house in a ruffled shirt and no pants all day, too. Thursday. I wonder if them gold records is real metal. Easier to move if I can melt them down. Lionel hates stuff that's got names on it, but he's got those record collectors in it. They might like it. What's he doing now? Bloody crying and snapping his records in half. Oh, boo-hoo. Is it too hard to be rich and famous and shag all the birds? Papa Joy, you bugger. And then there was Sally, just off the King's Road. Wonder if Winston Churchill ever practiced a speech, and then when he gave it, it came out all hateful accusations and vitriol and not at all what he wanted to say. Probably not. She was being all lovely and slipped the surly bonds of earth, Sally. Only even more so. And then she said she was mates with Sir Robert B. Well, more than mates, I suppose, and from then on, all I could think of was that horrible night. I wanted to beat a hasty retreat, but my legs wouldn't move and my mouth wouldn't stop. The real stupid thing is that I desperately need a letter of transit. If I'm going to get back into the city and out of Wellington Wills, and Sally offered to get me one, and so I cleverly chased her off. Thing is, I don't trust her. She was always so wonderful when she was there, but a girl like Sally always has so many better places to be, better people to be with, or worse, people that she prefers anyway for some reason. Sometimes she just hide in Percy's old room in the attic and not come down. Who knows what's going on with her now? I could try again. She's living on the King's Road somewhere, with bars on her windows and an unlocked door. Couldn't be that hard to find, and I could hardly be more of an arse than just now, but there's nothing to lose except my pride again. I can swallow my pride, for Percy's sake. Dearest Peggy, I'm so sorry, darling. Your father wouldn't let me keep your dolly in the house anymore. I know one day you'll walk through the front door. Maybe you'll be too old for your dolly, but I promised I would keep her for you. So I'm burying her next to the tree you so love to climb. Come back to us, darling, won't you? Love, your mum. Interrogation of Daniel Douglas by Constable Jack Constable. Subject lives at number 2 Swallow Street, St. George Elm. Subject states that the fog was particularly thick last night. He had to go to the window to shut it. Says the living room was becoming particularly clammy. He heard a scream. It frightened him, and he screamed too. That, a woman came half out of the fog. She seemed to be struggling with someone. She opened her mouth as if to call him, but then he noticed a line of red across her throat. Then she collapsed. Then a man came out of the fog and stared at him. He says the man's face seemed oddly familiar. The man then disappeared into the fog. He was about to call for help when a voice whispered very close, "I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time." At that moment he closed the window and went to hide under his bed. At this point the subject became quite distraught and began shouting that the constabulary must stop this miscreant forthwith. A doctor was promptly summoned, Dr. Trelawney, who administered the usual dose of joy. At this the subject perked up quite a bit and departed. No woman's body was found in Swallow Street. However, a jubilator had recently passed the scene of the alleged incident. Dr. Verloc continues to agitate for the apprehension and detention of his former protege, Miss Sally Boyle, claiming she purloined and absconded with his formulae. Oh. Oh, that's juicy. Again, it must be Thursday. Tell Dr. V to bugger off. Polite like. Even if she wasn't the only source of blackberry, the general would have our heads. I've recognized the need for isolating Dr. Faraday at Dunsinane House. However, you cannot ask us to patrol Ludd's home. The island is crawling with berserk wastrels infected with the plague. I cannot place my constables at the mercy of mobs of homicidal lunatics spouting Old English. And if, God forbid, one of them were to come back bitten or scratched, well, that's it, for good, Old Maidenholm. If you must appoint someone, you must try to look in on her. How about Bobby Hickenbotham? He's loyal, if not terribly reliable, and if he got bitten, no great loss. Say combination 112604. Eat it before you memorize it. Remember, number of times Edie and I shagged. God, I miss Edie. Number of gold records. Number of songs that weren't total rubbish. Okay. Dream song. I dreamed I was a golden god, my altar on a train. I could have gone around the world and brought that train back home again. Where do you travel? Where do you go? Your golden god, he wants to know. Where do you travel? Where do you go? Your golden brother misses you so. Are you joking? Special Sally. Special Sally brings me candy, put the candy in me handy. Sally's specials makes my day. Sally hasn't come today. Has Special Sally gone away? Come back, Sally, make my day. Come back, Sally, make my day. Come back, Sally, come and play. Special Sally, hey, hey, hey. Where is Special Sally? Little Nicky needs some sweets. Sally specials make my day. Yeah, that'll go over great at the Deaf Institute. Blue ovals. So everything seems. What did Fall call a bad wine you still drink? Boovable? It all lacks a certain je ne sais quoi. Everything lacks a je ne sais quoi. I wish I knew what it was. I think Stuart gave me someone else's prescription. Someone who needs to calm down, I'd guess. Green capsules. I see London, I see France. I love my favorite underpants. Woo! Dizzy. Little gelatin pyramids. Many are my names. I'll speak in tongues, and all shall fear. Up and down the world I'll walk. I am the light, I am the light. Headache like a beast afterwards. Wish I had biscuits. Red blotting paper. Plus paracetamol. Paracetamol. Yep. Can't shake the feeling that I'm just a character in someone's story. Someone's already decided how it's all going to end. But it's not the real end, and I'm just going to keep going around. So long as they keep telling that story, I'm doomed to go around and around again. Probably dying the exact same way every time. No wonder the greatest achievement for the Hindus is to get off the wheel. Do I even have real fans? Have I ever seen them? How do I know they're real? What if my memory isn't real? Can't make out their faces, or I can, but all their faces are the same. Like there's one girl face and one boy face. They even move the same way. I think therefore I am. But do I really think, or am I just saying that? Red and green caps. Greg, Greg, go away. Smell of ashes and the rain. I want my money back. Rocket! I'm flying! I can go anywhere! Jesus, I could kiss that girl. She's a bloody genius. Blast off! Great name, but it's bollocks. Tastes like joy. I think the wanker just emptied out some joys and squirted colored water inside. I've had farts more enlightening than these. I've got to go visit the Interplanetary Travel Agency, but that would mean going outside. I'm not sure I'm up to it. Where is she? Why doesn't she make house calls anymore? George. George. Juliet found your clover stamps. They were in the couch. Told you no one stole them, Madam W. Dear Mistress Wanda, I am so sorry about bursting into tears the other night. It was truly inappropriate. When you were doing such fine work with the paddle, I am sorry I objected to being swaddled after, especially since it was my stupid idea to have you sing Take the Key and Lock Him Up, my fair lady. I just meant it to be generally mocking, you know. It was not supposed to bring up old feelings in myself, let alone you. I would be very grateful if you would punish me very harshly tonight. Please accuse me of being a truly wicked man. I've done things to an innocent person. Please accuse me of being a coward for not leaving the constabulary. A real man would do the right thing and go off the Blackberry. Please accuse me of being a liar for pretending to forget. A real man would face his nightmares. Thank you, Mistress Wanda. Forgive us this safe and private place. What would we do without you? Your devoted servant, Bobby Hickenbotham. From the desk of Beatrix Reeve, vote member, Executive Committee, Inspector Hockney. Dear Inspector, the clever bird refused to peck at the nice morsels we offered her. I fear she plans to take wing. You know what happens if the ravens flee the tower. I take the precaution of preparing a lovely golden egg cage at the location we discussed, where she can continue to peck. Would you mind conducting her to her new habitat? Of course, we'll need one or two caretakers to keep her feeder filled and change the newspaper. I know a couple of confirmed bachelors who are perfect, dare not make pape themselves, and they're too stupid to open her cage by themselves. We of the executive committee appreciate all you do. Yours truly, B. Dear Helen, we at the Executive Committee do not understand why you are so obstinate about the prototype mask we requested. It's not like we're Harry Highworth talking about reshaping people's heads so they feel better. We're not asking you to run the wires yourself. That is the job of Dr. Ridgewell at the Health. We're simply asking you to rig up a happy face mask with microfilament wires that can be run through the eye cavity into the optic nerve so a mild current can be applied to the pleasure center of the brain. And yes, we have discussed the various difficulties with Mr. Arkwright. We're not saying all the wrinkles have been ironed out. It's an experimental prototype. You've done such fine work with the Bridges and the Spankers in spite of your objections that they would turn Wellington Wells into some sort of police state, which you can easily see they have not. We really don't see why this is your hill to die on. Do please let us know when you're ready to see reason. Yours truly, Beatrice Reeve. Thanks for all your help. You go far one day, which is more than I can say for the other numpties. I don't know what they do to break the bridge, but 9 times out of 10, I turn it off and turn it back on again. That does the trick. So do that. You'll need a code to operate the switch. It's 1492. Bon voyage. Soviets take Berlin. All are waiting eagerly for news from the children. Sir Robert Bing states that he is in communication with the Soviet occupation authorities, and they are doing everything in their power to locate them. The Journal of Marjorie Flowerdew, April 1st, 1964. This morning my garden had turned to weeds, where once my lilacs grew like reeds. I took a second joy at noon, and once again my garden bloomed. April 3rd, 1964. My poor sister, she loved her flowers so. If only she'd had joy, but they developed it too late for her. What was her girl's name again? Sandy? Sally? Oh goodness, what am I talking about? It's time for my joy. April 6, 1964. Did I have a sister? I must have written down a dream. Relieved my joy is working. Been spotty lately. April 10th, 1964. The rain is raineth every day. It raineth every single day. April 12th. A 3-joy afternoon and a bit of a headache. The whole world smells like soup. April 13th. Is this how it starts? My joy feels so small. Wake up shaking and don't know why. The downers in the garden district. Are they like me without a smile? April 15th. Never, 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 never. Pray you undo this button. Thank you, sir. Do you see this? Look on her. Look, her lips. Look here, look there. Oh, 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 oh. April 16th. Rue for Miss Flowerdew. I remember their little faces in the garden. Oh God, I remember them all. 1 second. All right, let's continue down this crazy journey. Sermon idea. Joy cometh not in the morning, or joy be damned. No, too harsh. If we do not remember our sins, how can we repent? If we can't repent, how can we be saved? Acts 3:19. Repent ye therefore and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out. Matthew 4:17. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Does joy damn us for eternity? We must cease to take joy to save our immortal souls. Tea and biscuits. Do join us for tea and biscuits as we bid farewell to our vicar, who has gone on holiday in anticipation of his retirement. When this Sunday, right after Simon Says, we gotta have Simon Says first, you know. Where the Church of St. Genesis. No RSVP necessary. Just come on, come. We're gonna have Simon Says first. It's gonna be great. Newgate Save. Thank you for buying Newgate Save. Your temporary combination is 12343242. Please change combination upon installation. Guarantee does not apply to contents. What cake shall I make for Kitty's birthday? Perhaps spice cake. She loves it so. Not like my old kitty Sebastian, who wouldn't eat his cake. Went into a hidey hole and didn't come out. Do I remember what happened to him? I must remember. Or perhaps I mustn't. Perhaps he'll come home when he smells Kitty's cake. Every year I think he might. How funny he and Kitty share the same birthday. To all workers, from Dickie Bow, manager. I'm sure you'll find this Bolshevik banging on thrilling, but it's taking time away from your duties, requiring even more overtime to make quota. Scargill Quality Control tell me your gas masks are quite sufficient. There is therefore no danger in using them for longer shifts. Kindly get back to work unless you malingering Reds want to experience doing any further banging at home. Why did Sally kiss me? It's not possible that she really wants me, is it? Because that is consummation devoutly to be wished. And when you want something that much, you tend to miss the signs that you have lost all touch with reality. But for one shining moment, I was the hero at the end of the movie. And I got the girl, then I pulled away. Why did you pull away, Arthur? Because I was plummeting to earth and I had seconds to grab a parachute. Told her I was there about a letter of transit back into the city. She thought I was just there to see her again. Which one is true? I've been lying to myself about so many things for so long I no longer trust myself at all. Before the Great Lips debacle, I managed to bring up her mum. Brilliant. She misses her old mum. The woman tried to poison her and did in her entire family. Why did I tell her I'd get her the cod liver oil? Because she can get a letter of transit from jolly old General Byng. How is that man still a vaguely important person after what he did in the war? Because I can never say no to Sally. I could say no to Percy, but not to Sally. Why in dog's name can I never say no to Sally? Garden Club President Camilla Tingle is best known for her lovely garden. She was always fond of foxgloves, but stopped growing them years ago after her neighbor, the late Mrs. Boyle, Flood's home, accidentally used foxglove to season a soup. However, Miss Tingle has discovered that many other flowers that may be safely included in recipes. Lily bulbs taste like onions, she says. We fry them up with V-meat for our Sunday supper. Delicious! For a floral feast, try a recipe. 3 lily bulbs chopped, 1 pound of meat, any kind, butter, or any congealed fat. Stir and pan together until brown. Do not drain fat. If you drink the last cup of the crabgrass tea, kindly make another pot for others. Reporter of the Year, Gemma Olsen, missing. Has anyone seen a Reporter of the Year last seen preening at her desk? May possibly be resting on laurels. If seen, please notify the occurrent. Eagle-eyed wellies may have noticed that some of Uncle Jack's shows have been repeats recently. There's no cause for concern. Uncle Jack merely has a light cold. He assures his viewers that he is taking plenty of joy in hot soup and should soon be right as rain. Last week, many citizens in the vicinity of the village's main modeling facility heard what seemed at first to be a loud explosion. No need to worry. Seems that those jolly miners could not wait for the annual Victory Day celebration to set off fireworks. The company apologized for any alarm that noise may have caused. A memo to all copy editors from Jane Gardner, copy chief, R.E. restrictive commas. Please note that if a reporter has written Joe's wife Clara, you must fact check whether Clara is Joe's only wife. If she is, there should not be a comma between the words wife and Clara. If she is his second wife, however, you should use the comma. I find it hard to believe that professionals do not already know this, Jane. Underneath, someone has handwritten Bass Ackwards. Another notice. Typo of the month. Learn which words end in ibble versus able. If you are not sure, look them up. This is an unacceptable error. Morons. Absolute nonsense. A notice. Everyone, please congratulate John on his promotion. From assistant to the deputy copy chief to assistant deputy copy chief. Congratulations, John. October 9th. You've been gone for more than a week. What's going on? I looked through your desk, but perhaps you've got all your notes at home? I sort of fear you might have delved too cleverly and too deep. Please tell me you're all right, Margaret. Cipher book. Chief, it has become too dangerous to commit things to writing. I will henceforth put all my correspondence in code to you, Gemma. Have you been naughty? Need a bit of correction? Yes. Please be our guest at the Reform Club and have a shocking good time. Invitation admits one. Not redeemable on Headmaster nights. Mysteries of the Joy Factory. Sunshine! S claims Furlock invented sunshine for himself. Why? How can he be clear-headed and not haunted by the past? Anyone with any human feelings. Sunshine rumored not to be a contraceptive like Joy. What happens if someone has a baby? Oh God, too awful. Too plague. Toxic waste dumped in water, carried by fog. Outbreaks correlate to wind direction. From Joy Factory? 3. Permanent solution. Verloc's plan so secret even S doesn't know what it is. Irreversible. Mass lobotomy. Find a way inside Hayworth Labs. Undercover. Pose as a patient in Verloc's new studies. Dear Mr. or Mrs. Underlines, thank you for your recent letter. The symptoms you describe, anxiety, guilt, and hunger, are all signs of joy withdrawal. I assure you that your troubles are all in your head, even though you may feel very real to you. A modest increase in your joy dosage should do the trick. But special cases may receive personalized care at Hayworth Labs. Any doctor can arrange your passage to our facility. Yours most sincerely, Dr. A. Verloc. Scribbled in red pen. But do they ever come back? No. Bolton is known as a rather serious chap who ran the Cryptology Intelligence Division during the unpleasantness with the Germans. But even Bolton manages to unwind. He finds advanced mathematics especially relaxing. His hobby is trying to prove Fermat's last theorem. I've always had a knack for seeing patterns others can't see, Bolton says. In his spare time, he also enjoys the cinema and detective stories. With sunshine, my mind is clearer. But every day is agony, remembering. Who would take this willingly? And yet, in a morbid, horrible way, it feels almost good to remember. I know I should pop a joy, but I keep not doing it. Just have to not think about certain things, discipline the mind. How much can I tell Maggie? Obviously, we can publish exactly none of this, but I can't bear not finding it all out. Modeling control unit number 3. Gas leaks. Parts? No maintenance? Human error? Who knows? St. Elmo Electrical Unit. 2 employees haven't come topside. Behaving erratically. Art project. Someone has a permanent solution to the joy problem, says Miss Snug, but won't say who. There's a joy problem? Permanent solution doesn't sound ominous at all. Memo 1. Darling, you said I don't suppose you have a better idea. Here is my idea. Let me ask the witches. I know, they're superstitious idiots, but they were always talking about psychoactive herbs, and they were actually rather clever women when my mum had them over. And they know every weed and stingy hallucinogenic frog on all of the homes, and I've been racking my brain about the inventory problem. I don't think they're going to find any more catches of old German goodies. Echo, 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 Sally. Added in Gemma's handwriting. Junus 1961, I think. Sally Boyle's handwriting, presumably to Dr. V. Memo 2. Beloved, please don't be cross. Just because they don't have university degrees in science doesn't mean they don't know any science. You've got to stop underestimating people who don't think the way you do. Are you sure you're not thinking about this emotionally? And I know how you hate that.
St. John's wort does contain a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and it does make sad people less grumpy, for example. We could advertise the new compound as a different flavor of joy. Strawberry, say. Wouldn't that sound jolly? If some people take to the new flavors, then our supplies could last a few years longer. Possibly till 64. And by then, maybe the monkey will learn to talk. Just give it a ponder, please. For your Sally. Echo, 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 echo. Jim's Henry. July 1961. Sally again. No, I don't care that you took credit for Strawberry. I don't care who gets credit so long as people are happy. And I certainly was not trying to impress the General. No, I'm worried that you promised a permanent solution. Of course, you know far more about biochemistry than I do, but I've never heard of a drug that permanently alters brain chemistry. Is that even possible? Is there a mechanism? Can you just chemically burn out all the SAD receptors in the brain? The only permanent solution I know involve electroshock or surgery. And then we're back to phrenology. I think I read people a little better than you do, darling. The General is all very affable, and we're now promising him results. And we all know what happened to the last guy. We didn't deliver him results, you know? Please tell me what's on your mind, would you? Sal.
Dear Mr. White, one of my workers has made an artwork out of live electrical wires. Although the boys are quite fond of it, it's creating a hazard. The tenor of our Total Rats Quartet was electrocuted this morning. We're not able to get past the sculpture to reach the rest of the facility safely. Could you kindly turn off the sector's power grid just long enough for me to remove the artwork? Dr. Verloc. My men seem to have received a weak batch of joy. That is, it makes them half as happy. Unfortunately, it makes them just as foggy. As a result, they have been doubling up on joy, and this is making them rather too foggy to work. Could you please send a regular strength ration of joy as soon as possible? Is blackberry a possibility? Second resublimation of the thiomodeline crystals might enhance the endochronic properties. If we were truly able to enable the endochronic properties, we could use the same crystals indefinitely. To Alfred from Tricia. We are all dismayed to learn of your Glee Club's misfortune. I am enclosing 2 copies of Form A221, Unexpected Staff Holiday, which must be completed in triplicate, as well as 1 copy of Form FIN 753, Departmental Budget Adjustment Report. These should be filled in and returned within 3 days. Cheers, Tricia. To all employees from Alfred, September 29th, 1964. It has come to my attention that certain employees are using live wires as Victory Day sparklers. Let me remind you that Victory Day is not for several more months, besides which the sparklers are a safety hazard. On the subject of safety hazards, whose turn is it to empty the rain buckets? I found 4 of them overflowing on Tuesday. Kindly do not let this happen again. To whom it may concern, from Tommy Flanders, Supervisor, Unit 9. We've had a bit of an accident. Henrietta made muffins for the bake sale, but mistakenly used the almond gas for flavoring. She's now gone on holiday, and I've given my staff leave until further notice. Meanwhile, do not eat the muffins or enter Sector 3 without a gas mask. Cheers, Tommy. Thank you for your response to my letter about bad batches of joy. While I appreciate your offer, if I send any employee who has a problem with the recent batch of joy to Hayworth for your experimental treatment, you'll have my entire bloody staff knocking at your gate. I hope you've got a plan B. Regards, Tommy Flanders. Dear Mr. Southwick, thank you for your recent memo. We are experiencing a temporary problem while we adjust the joy formula slightly, take advantage of some new materials. Meanwhile, it can't hurt if they double the dosage, can it? The more the merrier. Thomas. I tried to slow down Peter's jubilator like you asked, but they're robust buggers. Turns out a jubilator only has 3 weaknesses. A big electric shock, bashing open the rear access panel and extracting the activator. There might only be 2, come to think of it. Obviously, none of these things is exactly subtle. Please advise, M. Dear Anton,
My workers seem to have recently... Blah. Try that again. My workers seem to have received a weak batch of joy. That is, it makes them half as happy. Unfortunately, it makes them just as foggy. As a result, they have been doubling up on joy, and this is making them rather too foggy to work. They no longer remember to put on their gas masks. Half our glee club has gone on holiday from taking off their masks to sing. Situation urgent, please advise. Yours, Penelope. Proper use of jubilators. To all employees from Penelope Snug Supervisor. Please note that the proper function of a jubilator is 1. To dispose of downers who have gone on holiday in public, and 2. To diffuse airborne joy to citizens who may have forgotten to take their pills. Jubilator is not a mechanical steed for jousting and betting. We are becoming quite short-handed as a result of this tomfoolery, since the cockpit burns up when one jubilator smashes another. They are almost invincible, except for the electrical issue we are working on, but even a rock can be broken by another rock. It has further come to my attention that certain employees attempted to sabotage jubilators to gain advantage to illicit competitions. Perpetrators will be caught and damage will be docked from their pay. Penelope. P.S. Kindly do not sound the tootlers indoors. It alarms the secretaries. Jubilator Quick Start Manual. Step 1. Get in. Step 2. Push go. Step 3. Go. To Thomas from Penelope. I am sorry to inform you that your promotion to second shift supervisor has been denied on account of your behavioral infractions. I am shocked to learn that gambling is going on here. When Peter explained the situation to me, I had no choice but make him supervisor instead. P.S. In light of your precarious position, I would not be making book on any Guy Fawkes Day jousting tournaments if I were you. P.P.S. If you persist in proclaiming your innocence, then I suppose I don't owe you 10 quid for the Grand Derby, do I? To Penelope from Peter. I don't like to be a teller of tales, but Thomas Horner is one making book on the Jubilator races. He is always tempting us to bet, then taking our money. Other people's money, I mean. I never bet myself. I always believe he's monkeying with the Jubilator speed dials to fix the races. Many workers, not me of course, get in debt to him and are forced to hand over their paychecks. I thought you would want to know since you put such trust in him. Dear Penelope, I received your note about the latest batch of joy. You did the right thing in writing to me directly. Entre nous. I am working on a permanent solution that will render our current joy program obsolete. But you didn't hear it from me. Warmly, Anton. P.S. Please convey my warm regards to Richard. Been meaning to have you both round for dinner. It had been too long. Funeral notes for apprentice undertaker. Please take extra care with seating arrangements. All the deceased relatives insist that they be seated in the front row so as to ensure that the deceased is not buried with anything of material value. Ashes to ashes, his daughter Regina says. The Bible doesn't say anything about being buried with gold watches. However, most of family members are not speaking to one another and refuse to be seated together. You must manage somehow. Perhaps arrange chairs in a large circle with plenty of space in between so that everyone can feel he is in the front row. Important. On no account is the deceased brother Edward to be allowed at the funeral. Dear Uncle Edward, not that you care, but Papa is dead. Well, dying anyway. My casket has already arrived. Though entre nous it was dearer than it ought to have been. No one listens to me. You should not expect anything in Papa's will. You know why. I am only writing to ensure you won't have the audacity to come to this funeral. The family still cannot forgive you for your cruel theft of his beloved dog. Your niece, Regina. My dear Thomas, can we not forgive and forget now that we're both in our twilight? It was half a century ago that we brought Bonnie Prince Charlie across the channel from the horrible trenches of France. I know you loved him as I did, and that I was wrong to steal him from your garden and keep him from you all those years. What you perhaps did not know is that I also loved Sarah. Yes, your Sarah. Did she ever tell you that I had proposed? I never spoke of it again, but when she preferred you to me, I went out of my mind with jealousy and grief. I suppose part of me wanted to make you hurt as I did. But looking back, I think I stole Charlie because I needed someone in my life to love. You've had a large, loving family all these years. All I had was Bonnie Prince Charlie for his few remaining years. Then nothing but loneliness and longing since. Can you not see it in your heart to forgive your poor brother? In your final days, knowing that you have had so much love and family in your own life? Your brother, Edward. P.S. I hope I have the courage to send this. Dear Colonel, how do you like those apples? In a container? Or not? On top or below something? Up high, or was it down low? No combination required. August 30th. Have to be more careful. I accidentally put my hat next to the suction coupling, and it went right into the intake canister. Spent an hour pulling, felt off the blades in the Cyclone Mensa. Imagine if that had been a bottle, or worse, a wrench? September 9th. Problem solved. Added a power cutoff to the suction coupling. Now it won't even start up unless the package is mounted onto it. Going to add the same cutoff to all the machines to minimize accidents. Don't want Edmund's hands ending up in the V-meat. Dear Mr. Cutting, thank you for your contribution to the next war effort. The troops greatly appreciated your sausages. Sausage! We all think your patriotic effects are smashing. Do keep up the good work, and we will seriously consider your application to join the Home Army. Yours very truly, Lieutenant John Fortescue. Written longhand. You don't need to buttonhole me every time I come into the shop, Bill. It's not a matter of what you did or didn't do during the late, great unpleasantness. We all know that citizens were under a lot of pressure to cooperate with the G. And even if at times you seemed a little extra enthusiastic, we take at face value your protestations that is just your manner. However, you are on the old side for a soldier, old chap. It will take a little while, and perhaps a few more sausage, before the boys are quite ready to put you through your paces, as you put it. Dear, my dearest Martha, I know I will never send this letter, but I cannot help myself. I must write you even if I no longer know if you're alive, or even if I am. We live in a world of absurdity, and the most absurd is that we are apart. I wish I had not been a coward, and I had joined you on the last train. It seems I am one coward after another. I don't even know what you loved in me. I wish to God we will meet in the afterlife. Until then, my sweet, my dove, I am ever your love. P.S. Do you ever see my son? Is he well? Why am I asking? I won't even mail this letter. We don't even have the Royal Post anymore. Oh God, they're dead and cold and wet and red. I suppose I lost my temper a bit there. She made it look so easy, always breezing in with a cheeky "want to try something new?" I just had the best idea and I had to whip it up. Like it was an omelet with a different cheese. And her notes were so clear when I stole them. Like they were some other Sally, not the one who dresses so mod. Like some teacher's pet who took careful notes. Don't remember what I did. No, that's a lie. I remember. They kept pushing my food around and laughing and laughing. My wife, I think I'll keep her, he said. I didn't know I was that strong. She made it look so easy, like she spent more time getting dressed than brewing her chemicals. She's not carefree at all. She's terrifyingly smart. I should have known. I should have guessed. Dear Diary, I don't see why they sent me to live here. It's not as if everyone in the village doesn't already know my condition. This is just so they can pretend. They're all about pretending, aren't they? The food is horrid. How can I eat for two when I can barely keep the food down? Head cheese. I hope they'll let me go home for Christmas. God knows what cook here will put in the fruit cake. She hates us all. December 12th, 1950. Dear Diary, the ladies in the village gave me that look again, but I refuse to hide away in this house for 6 months. 6 months! It'll be summer then. Strange to think how I'll just go home afterwards and we'll all pretend nothing happened. Like when Margie Oliphant came back and everyone pretended she'd been visiting cousins across the bridge. No one ever will marry her now, nor me, I suppose. Not unless I can move away. I wonder if a man can tell. Will my body be different? No one will tell me anything useful. December 19th, 1950. Oh my God. I'm never leaving the house again. I don't care if we are required to go to church. These women are lunatics. The way they ganged up on me, you'd think they'd be glad I'm giving up the baby. They put their children on the train. Wouldn't they want another child? But no, I'm apparently the worst sinner in the world for sending mine away. Am I supposed to raise it here? Much better for it to go live on a farm. How they screamed at me, rabid dogs, my heart's still pounding. I hate them. Someday I'm going to punish them. I'm going to punish them all.
To Dr. Verloc from Ronald Norwich. We have had mixed results with our first test of A329. The subject, Vanessa Tinkerbell, came to us presenting downer symptoms of melancholy and unpleasant memories. We are pleased to report that this is no longer the case. There have been side effects, however. Tinkerbell has formerly one of the village's foremost intellectuals. She now has difficult with basic cognitive functions and exhibits obsessive behaviors. E.g., she runs around her cell clapping her hands and seems to believe she can fly. Recommendation: further research on A329 required. At minimum, it should only be used on the most severe data cases.
Darling, I took a peek at your new A12 formula as you asked. So brill of you to look for a permanent solution given the shortages of supplies. You plan to jam people's emotions on happy is quite daring. However, I have some teeny tiny concerns. A12 would be a bit like a lobotomy, wouldn't it? A patient would lose his melancholy, but also many higher brain functions. Yes. I know you'll say I sound like Harry Hayworth with this brain talk, but do bear with me. You already complain this town is full of blithering idiots. Do we really want to reduce everyone to the intelligence of a gerbil? Just a thought. Love, Miss Boyle.
To Dr. Hayworth from General Bing. Dear sir, as you know, our citizens have become dispirited due to some unfortunate incidents during the war. I believe your laboratory could be of service in restoring morale. On examining the German camp, we discovered that German soldiers were given fatigue pills that contained amphetamines and opioids, which contributed greatly to their esprit de corps. It turns out that's how their men were able to punch through our lines again and again. We were wondering how it was they never seemed to sleep. I believe the answer to our problems may be chemical. I believe you might be the hero we need now. I am aware that this will inconvenience your own research, but as that other great Napoleon fighter said, England expects that every man will do his duty.
Dear Dr. Verloc, thank you so much for showing me your laboratory when I visited with Mr. Adams. As you can imagine, it was very exciting for a girl from a small chemist shop. I myself have been training to become a chemist and have learned pretty much everything Mr. Adams has to teach me. I wonder if I might come to by your laboratory sometime to ask you about more advanced chemistry questions. It would be such a privilege to learn from a really advanced scientist. Sincerely, Sally Boyle.
I hope you will not think I, a mere research chemist, is out of line in contacting you, but I am frankly concerned about Dr. Hayworth. Despite Joy's great success, he has begun allocating resources toward his study of phrenology, a laughably discredited 19th century pseudoscience. Indeed, he talks of little else when he thinks no one can hear him. I am not suggesting he's actually sabotaging the factory. The recent shortages are the result of mix-ups anyone could have made. But I know you share my concern about the importance of our work to Wellington Wells, and he won't listen to me or anyone else.
What do you recommend we do? Anton, I just made the most smashing idea. You've been so cross about our running out of chemicals, but the witches, yes, I know how you feel about them, but hear me out. Use a kind of toad slime that turns out to be a hallucinogen. It made me think we could make new flavors of joy using local goodies like toads, poppies, and magic mushrooms. Very excited to chat tonight. XOXO Sally. P.S. I also found a great war recipe for shell shock tea, made from St. John's wort, which grows like a weed in the Garden District. Actually, I think it is a weed. To the new secretary, I hope you've had better success in this job than I did. You should know that Dr. V is most insistent that all traces of a certain woman be expunged from the laboratory. If you ask me, who must not be named, was the brains behind this whole operation. It hasn't been the same since she left. Dr. V will also ask for information that is in her notes, but you can't give him one of her notes. Oh no, else you'll be sacked like me. I've hidden her papers in the storage room in the computer room, which used to be her office, so you can get them without him knowing. It's complicated, but I'm sure you'll manage. Good luck, Betty. P.S. Dr. V also gets his knickers in a knot if you nip some of his good scotch. Just a word to the wise. To all employees from Alice Liddell, yet again I've discovered employees flushing a bad batch of joy down the drain. It will make the fish happy is not an acceptable excuse. Often we can restore a batch of slightly defective joy by the addition of reagents. Waste not, want not. You're allowed to cross to the parade district. There's my letter of transit. What should I have done? Should I have turned around and said, yes, I will, yes, come with me, we'll go at dawn, whatever you say. I always used to wonder if I'd run out the door after her that day. What would have happened to us? Would we still be friends, or was the magic all in my head? Who am I kidding? 16-year-old me would never have had the courage to leave home. And here I am running out the door when she wants to come with. Not entirely unlike what I did to Percy. I wonder what lies I'll tell myself about her later. Am I really doing this for Percy? Is that just another convenient lie? Because I needed a reason to go off Joy, and he was the only one I could come up with? What if she is utterly sincere? What if she honestly does want me and love me and need me? Do I have utterly no faith left in anyone? And she'd survive and I'd get killed. A girl like her shipwrecks, and the next day she's drinking margaritas under palm leaves. Yours truly is shark bait. I can't. I just can't. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Are your pub mates beautiful? Are they famous? No? Well then, bloody stop letting them into the VIP lounge. The whole point of a VIP lounge is to keep people out. That's what makes people want to be in it. If you let in any pleb from the village, we might as well call it the Prole Hovel. Kindly remember this if you wish to remain employed. David Hackney. Davy, darling. You wanted to know why I seem off today, but you already know why. Even if you think I don't know. Deirdre returned a hair bow to me that she'd found by the bed. She thought it was mine, though I never wear chartreuse. I wanted to die. I absolutely wanted to die. You've been in our bed with Pris, haven't you? No one else can pull off chartreuse. How could you? I decorated that bed. Think of you and Pris on my parachute silk sheets. How can I ever trust you again? I am doubling up my joy today, but don't assume that my smiles mean you haven't broken my heart, Diana. P.S. Please return my Nick Lightbearer records and my good tweezers. We're finished. P.P.S. I'm going to eat an entire cupcake. I don't care what you say. 0451's quarantine access code. From Director Ridgewell to Allison Beth. I am mystified by your suggestion that there is a simple, easy way to double applications. We have searched high and low for men who are mentally equipped to become doctors. Not every man is fit to be a doctor, you know. So many of the men who apply have become unsuitable due to bad joy. Frankly, there are just not that many men left in Wellington Wells who could be trained to be doctors. So how could you double applications? If you have some magical method as you claim, please by all means, do let me know. Dear students, medical studies are not a joke. Whoever took the cadaver's private bits from last week's dissection should return them promptly. Ridgewell. Your recent grumbling has reached my attention. Apparently, some of you think botany is beneath you and unrelated to medical studies. What do you think pharmaceuticals are made of? Sally Boyle's research on local plants is the only reason Howard Frabs is able to produce any joy at all these times. Unfortunately, the unpatriotic Miss Boyle went into business for herself. In my day, government could draft you or shoot you, but these days we apparently lost the will to do the necessary. We must just pursue the science of research ourselves. Reads well. Please tell us in 500 words or fewer why you wish to become a physician. I want to sack from my old job. I think I'll be a good doctor because I'm very accustomed to taking joy myself. Draft letter. October 9. Oh, the committee, executive committee. I am ready to request more funds for a study of coconut joy. While we have not yet found a dosage that allows test subjects to complete the fun ride without soiling themselves, I remain committed to this research. Perhaps the problem is that we're using plague wastrels? I have asked Verloc to send over some of his healthy downer subjects, but he has declined, crossed out. That man never shared so much as a sidewalk in his entire life. I understand the rationale of using only people who won't be missed, but I am convinced we would have better results with better test subjects and more funding. Surely it would be wise to continue seeking an alternative to Dr. Verloc's permanent solution. In the event that his research crossed out turns out to be complete balderdash, is not the success he imagines? I do hope you could see your way to increase funding of my research crossed out, even though I'm not an arse kisser like. All right. Well, we have caught up on all the lore pages. That was a really big download. There's a whole lot of information there, from cheating husbands to explosions being covered up and botany and a whole bunch about Sally and what she's been going through and her story. This has been absolutely crazy. Well, I had a lot of fun and I hope you did too. And as always, I'll catch you all later. Toodles.